Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of, well, Cerebral Smack Talk meets Strictly Sports, Wrestling Forum, recaps. We got a lot. We got a lot to go down. So, what we're gonna do is Anthony Flair and myself. We're gonna do a little dual action here. So, what we're going to start off with is the big announcement that happened earlier this afternoon. The college football playoff has been announced. We have the final four. We will reveal that in just a matter of moments. Then we'll get into NXT 2.0. I will openly admit it. They did it again. They nailed it. Home run for NXT tonight. And as a matter of fact, we may be poo-pooing over their weekly show on USA, but one thing's damn for sure. These NXT takeovers or NXT special events, they still nail it regardless of the situation. Absolutely amazing show here tonight. And then we will preview tomorrow night's big football game between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. Now more bigger than ever before because not only is it first place in the AFC, but it also could determine who might walk out with the number one overall seed in the AFC in light of some, let's just say, some interesting stories that has come to light today with some of this great action in the NFL. So, with that said, Anthony Fleo, step on in. We got a Final Four to talk about, and it's yours, my friend. Who are they? Who's now part of the college football playoff?
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Girl MF Michael Fletcher. Anthony Florio here with you for this very special show here tonight. There's a reason for this, first of all. But before I get into that, we want to let you all know the third member of our team, Michael Bullock, will not be joining us once again this evening, as he is resting and recovering from a very busy weekend, to say the very least. The Super Plunge, the 24-hour Super Plunge weekend for Special Olympics Rhode Island. But he will be back with us. I can confirm he'll be back with us tomorrow night for Ridiculously Raw. So kudos to Michael Bullock on that. Now, as you all know, last night we were supposed to have NFL Saturday, but not only because of Michael Bullock's Super Plunge commitments, but I'm sure MF had work commitments beyond his control. That's the reason why we had to cancel last night's show. But MF and I, we put our heads together and we're like, you know what? You fans got cheated last night. And because of that, we want to give you fans something special in return to make up for it. And oh boy, we're going to make it up to you here tonight. So with that being said, in addition to the college football playoff matchups, MF, I think it's only fair that we also share the New Year's Six Bowl matchups as well, because we'll be previewing those games in a few weeks.
Yes, we will.
So with that being said, let's dive on in. Here we go. Top four. Number one, the Alabama Crimson Tide. You know the committee wanted that one. You know how much the committee slurps Alabama. That's the reason why they got where they are. SEC champions dominated Georgia in the SEC championship game last night. The number two, the Michigan Wolverines, the Big Ten champions, dominated Iowa in the Big Ten championship last night. They started the year unranked, and they were picked to finish fourth in the Big Ten Eastern Division. And now they went from that all the way to the number 2 spot and in the college football playoff. Unbelievable. Number 3, the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. We knew they were going to be fine because that was only their first loss. So committee, I say the committee got what they wanted, because you know how much the committee loves to have 2 SEC teams in there. Congratulations, committee. You got that. And rounding out the top 4, the upstart Cincinnati Bearcats out of the American Athletic Conference, winning the AAC title game, defeating Houston 35-20, and Cincinnati gets the top 4 spot. And finishing on the Mendoza line at number 5, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, so close yet so far away. And then at number 6, the Ohio State Buckeyes. So that rounds it out. So what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you exactly what that means. The first game on New Year's Eve, because the playoff games will be on New Year's Eve. On New Year's Eve at 3:30 on ESPN, in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, it will be the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide versus the number 4 Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati, Alabama will meet in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, 3:30 on New Year's Eve. And then at 7:30 in prime time on New Year's Eve, in the Capital One Orange Bowl from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. MF, you wanted it, you got it. Your number 2 Michigan Wolverines versus the number 3 Made in Georgia Bulldogs. Those are your college football playoff matchups. In addition, the rest of the New Year's 6 bowl field, the night before, on Thursday, December 30th, at 7 p.m. on ESPN, in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, it will be the ACC champion Pittsburgh Panthers squaring off against the Michigan State Spartans at large from the Big Ten, and rightfully so. And then from there, on New Year's Day, Saturday, January 1st, 1 p.m. on ESPN, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl from State Farm Stadium, formerly University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. It will be my Notre Dame Fighting Irish squaring off against the Oklahoma State Cowboys at large from the Big 12. And then from there, in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl game from the legendary Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. It'll be the Pac-12 champion Utah Utes, and they will be squaring off against the Big Ten runners-up, the Ohio State Buckeyes, by virtue of Michigan making the college football playoff as the Big Ten champion. The second best team goes in. That team was Ohio State. So Ohio State will battle Utah in the Rose Bowl game at 5 p.m. And then rounding it out, in the All-State Sugar Bowl at 8:45 p.m. on ESPN from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, it will be the Big 12 champion Baylor Bears squaring off against the at-large from the SEC, the Rebels of Ole Miss. So those are your New Year's 6 bowl matchups. For the complete schedule, go to any site that may have it, and you'll find out the dates and times for all the bowl games. But we wanted to address the New Year's 6 bowl games, and like I said, I mean, Bama being number 1 is not at all a surprise because, like I said, committee loves Bama, and they wanted to make sure that they were handsomely rewarded for their big win against Georgia. To me, Michigan really should have been 1, but, Bama had the better resume, so that's why they gave it to Bama and all that. But Michigan at number 2, MF, you heard what I said. They were picked to finish 4th in the Big Ten East Division. They started the season unranked, and now here they are, Big Ten champions, number 2 seed, and they're going to be in your house, Hard Rock Stadium, home of your Red Hot Dolphins. Yes, they won today. We'll address that later, but they'll be facing the Made in Georgia Bulldogs, who come in at number 3. Georgia was just too damn good all year. It was their first loss. There was no way the committee was going to punish them. And Cincinnati coming in at number 4. Well, that was the committee's way of saying, all right, we'll let you in, but we're not going to make it easy for you. We're going to feed you to the big dog. You want to be at the big table? Well, You got to face the big dog of the table. You got to face literally the tribal chief and the head of the table in college football, and that is Alabama. I feel bad for Cincy. I would love to see them pull it off. I really would, but I got a bad feeling that's going to be a next victim. And
that's a tall order there. But I will say this.
Tall order.
But I will say this.
What do you think of the New Year's 6th, though, MF?
Let me just say this first. When it comes to Cincinnati,
yeah.
Remember, we thought it was a tall order for them a year ago when they went up against Georgia, and they almost pulled off the monumental upset.
Indeed, they did.
So, yes, Alabama, if they play their A game, if they play like they played in the SEC championship game, there's no team that's going to stop Alabama. Bama will probably end up winning the national championship yet again. But if Alabama plays like they played in the Iron Bowl, and especially the way Cincinnati's been playing the last few games, Cincy will pull off the upset and they knock Alabama out. So don't sleep on Cincy.
No.
And I think that's the thing. Everybody's been sleeping on Cincy thinking, oh, they're a cute little story. No. Talk to Notre Dame. They know what happened to them when they ran into them.
Do they ever?
So this could be very interesting. All right, let's break it down. Alabama versus Cincinnati, great matchup. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is too easy for Bama. This is next victim. Again, Cincinnati doesn't feel that way. Cincinnati knows now, more than ever, they just broke the glass ceiling. They're the first Power of 5 conference team. Non-power. But they call it the Power 5 and then the Power of 5. So these are the conferences that are not in it, that traditionally would not be in there. And there's some people out there that's griping about, Cincinnati doesn't deserve it. Cincinnati doesn't deserve it. Well, here's the thing. They've been undefeated. They've won every game up to this point. And all right, maybe the biggest win was against Notre Dame, and maybe maybe you can make an argument. I think if Oklahoma State would have won yesterday, now we might be talking debate. Now we might have a problem.
Big problem.
But because they lost,
that opened the door.
That opened the door for Cincy. That opened the door for Cincinnati, and everybody else held firm to where they were. So this is also very telling, because if Georgia would have won, I honestly believe Notre Dame would have gotten in. And that's the big kicker here, because look at that line. Look at how it was played out. Notre Dame is not in because Alabama won that game yesterday. If Bama would have lost, I think we'd be talking about Notre Dame at 4. Then Georgia would be 1, Michigan 2, Cincinnati 3, and Notre Dame would be 4. So, it is what it is, but that's a big matchup. I mean, if you're Notre Dame, you're excited, but now you're going up against a very wounded and very angry Oklahoma State Sooner Cowboys team. Do not take this team lightly, Florio, because
I'm not.
These boys are going to be spitting mad. They're going to have at least a month, at least 3 weeks, up to a month to think about what might have been.
So close yet so far away.
Exactly. So for them, that's going to be, I think, out of the New Year's 6, that might be the most compelling matchup. Of course, Ohio State and Utah going at it. That's going to be an interesting matchup. This is Utah's first time at the Rose Bowl, as the winners of the Pac-12, but they're going up against a team in the Big Ten that is traditional, that knows the Rose Bowl inside and out.
Oh, yes.
And they are going to be a dangerous team because, again, they're coming off a stinging loss to Michigan. And the thing is, how are they going to react to that loss? Are they gonna think? Are they still thinking, "Oh my goodness, what might have been"? Or are they gonna take their anger and their frustrations out on Utah and make it a long afternoon for the Utes? Utah, first time in the Rose Bowl could be the last time you be at the Rose Bowl if Ohio State has their say in that. So I mean, there's some good matchups there, Florio. What stands out for you as it pertains to the college football playoff?
Well, both matchups. I mean, you know, when it comes to Cincinnati and Alabama, it's the classic case of David versus Goliath. That's really what it is. I mean, Alabama, the big bad bully, who always gets the benefit of the doubt and the whole 9 yards. Cincinnati, the upstart, I mean, this has the makings of Boise State and Oklahoma all over again. It really does. I mean, Oklahoma, the big bad powerhouse blue blood. Boise State, the newcomer looking to make a name for themselves, and we all know what happened. The greatest Fiesta Bowl of all time. I mean, do I want to see Cincinnati do it again? Actually knock out Bama? I would love to see that more than anything. I mean, because how much I love underdog stories, and that would be awesome. Georgia and Michigan in Miami. I mean, that's going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair. That one literally can go either way. I would think maybe Georgia might be the slight favorite, but I'm not sleeping on this Michigan team. I mean, I've loved what I've seen from your Wolverines, MF. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw, not just against Ohio State, but also against Iowa last night. You pounded them to a pulp, and man alive, I mean, I was beyond impressed. And that Hutchinson kid, Aiden Hutchinson, he's definitely a Heisman frontrunner. No question about that. As is Bryce Young of Alabama. We'll find out the finalists sometime this week because the ceremony will be on Saturday night. So we'll get into that. But man, and as for Notre Dame against Oklahoma State, I mean, that's going to be a man game, no doubt about that. I mean, I believe this will be Marcus Freeman's coaching debut. I don't think it'll be Brian Kelly. I mean,
no, it is Marcus Freeman. It will be his coaching debut. Yep, it will be. Yep.
And maybe we'll see Brian Kelly for LSU's bowl game because LSU will be in a bowl game on Tuesday night, January the 4th, as a matter of fact. LSU will be squaring off against Kansas State in the Texas Bowl. So that's probably when we'll see Brian Kelly make his LSU coaching debut. I was still hoodwinked and saddened by it, but, was what it was. So, but we'll see. And let's not forget about the Peach Bowl, MF. Michigan State against Pittsburgh. I mean, that's an interesting matchup. That's very interesting. And then Ole Miss and Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. Now, as far as Michigan State and Pittsburgh goes, I mean, think about it. It's a battle of the Kennys, if you will. Kenny Pickett, the outstanding quarterback of Pittsburgh, and Kenneth Walker III, the dynamic running back for Michigan State. I mean, that's going to make for a fun game right there with Michigan State and Pittsburgh on Thursday the 30th. And then Ole Miss and Baylor rounding it out. I mean, I'm sure Jerry Bohannon, that should be enough time for him to be all rested up and healthy, although his backup yesterday, very much impressed, opened the game with 17 straight completions to start the game. So that definitely played a huge role in Baylor shaking up the landscape. So with that being said, MF, before we move on to our War Games review, I'm very curious. When it comes to these New Year's Six bowl games, how do you rank them from 1 to 6? When it comes to the playoff games, our top two crews, crew 1 and 2.
I would probably say right now I would be looking at Michigan and Georgia as the 1, and Alabama versus Cincinnati as the 2. At least when it comes to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
As after once it gets to the New Year's Six, I would say Notre Dame and Oklahoma State would probably be the first matchup,
Okay.
followed by the Rose Bowl game,
Yep.
followed by, I would probably say the Sugar Bowl after that.
I would actually put the Peach Bowl slightly ahead of
All right.
the Sugar Bowl.
All right.
But yeah, I think that's how we should do that. It could have gone either way, but I was kind of leaning towards Georgia and Michigan myself because you the Michigan guy, it's Miami, and it's the more compelling matchup because the other one has there's that little uneasy feeling that could be a dud. So we'll see.
Where the Michigan and Georgia could end up being
a 5-star.
It could end up being a shootout. Could be a low-scoring defensive battle.
Could be a 5-star.
Yeah, so that could go either way. And sure. I don't know. In the last time I remember, and I think the last time Michigan was in the Orange Bowl, I think that was the battle against Florida State. Even though they lost, that was a 5-star classic, if I remember correctly.
Well, when it comes to Michigan in the Orange Bowl, Michigan has been in the Orange Bowl a few times. Michigan's actually been in 2 Orange Bowls. They won one and lost one.
Yep. The one against Alabama, I remember that one because that was the missed PAT that cost Alabama the game. And that was when Tom Brady, if I remember correctly, was the starting quarterback for Michigan.
I believe you're right. That was New Year's Day.
I think it was like 41-40, something like that.
35-34.
All right, there you go.
It was 35-34, New Year's Day 2000.
Yep.
That was the Orange Bowl against Alabama. And you're wrong about the other one. The other Orange Bowl appearance was actually New Year's Day 1976. A 14-6 loss to Oklahoma. So that's the this is only Michigan's 3rd Orange Bowl appearance. Obviously the Rose Bowl they've been in more than any other. I mean they've been in 20 of those, 20 Rose Bowls, but they're only 8-12. So this is only the 3rd Orange Bowl. They're 1-1. They lost the first one in 76. They won the other one in 2000. No, actually, MF is right. I think they forgot to update these, I guess. They did play in the Orange Bowl against Florida State in 2016, but they lost to Florida State 33-32. So that's 1-2. So we'll see. So Michigan, Georgia will go 1. Cincy, Alabama will go 2. Notre Dame, Oklahoma State goes 3. Utah and Ohio State 4. Michigan State, Pittsburgh 5, and Ole Miss, Baylor rounds out 6. So, all right. So there you go for the complete list of all the bowl matchups. Check any site, any sports site like ESPN, CBS, maybe NCAA.com for all I know. The date and times for all the bowl matchups are there. So you want to find out where your alma mater or your team is playing, look it up. So with that being said, we'll get into that in a few weeks when we have our big New Year's 6 special right around the end of the month or so. So with that being said, MF, let's get on to what ended up being, like you said, a very good War Games, even though we poo-poo over the product every week, the TV show. But when it comes to these, even though they don't really call them takeovers anymore, these special events, I mean, Halloween Havoc over-delivered, and of course, this over-delivered, of course, too.
Yeah. So with that said, we do lead it off with the women's War Games match as it was Team Raquel Gonzalez versus Team Toxic Attraction. It started off with Kaylee Ray and Dakota Kai in the matchup. Of course, with the power play, Cora Jade came out next. Then I believe it was Gigi Dolan. Then it went Io Shirai, JC Jane. The captains were last. When it was all said and done, the winners of the War Games in 31 minutes and 22 seconds, Team Raquel Gonzalez wins it all as it was Cora Jade getting the winning fall for her team. Oh my goodness, can you believe this? It was the young upstart, the 20-year-old beauty, but she did suffer an injury. It looked like she dislocated her shoulder. What was very interesting was after it, props to Io Shirai for popping that shoulder back into place because the doctors, the referees, they were down at ringside. I think they were going to try to pull. I think they were trying to get Cora Jade out of the cage, but Io was like, I got this. Snap! Oh my God! Popped it right back into place. Cora was able to finish the match. Not only finishes the match, she wins the War Games for the women. She wins the War Games for Team Raquel Gonzalez. Great storyline here. The weapons were amazing. The battle was ferocious. It was amazing War Games match. Easily 4.25 to 4.5 stars. And it's not even the best War Games match of the night. There was one even better than this. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But, oh my God, Anthony Florio. What a War Game for the women. Cora Jade. Her stock has risen tenfold with this War Games victory tonight.
Yes, absolutely. 4.25 to 4.5 stars for this. At times, this match felt like it was all over the place. Some of the spots looked poorly planned, and it led to some awkward moments where people were getting ready or waiting for something to happen. Between those moments, though, was a lot of fun, involving weapons and women taking big risks. The spot with Cora Jade looked genuinely scary, but she appeared to be fine, and she sold the bump like a pro. Some of the weapon spots were creative, but the match didn't feel like it came together until most of the women were in the ring. So I think 4.25 stars is the appropriate rating. I think 4.5 might be a smidgen of a reach, but it was still a very good women's War Games match. The ladies brought it tonight. Surprising outcome. I thought for sure Toxic Attraction was going to win it based on their role, but who knows? Maybe they could be setting up Cora Jade possibly as a potential challenger for Mandy down the road. We'll see. So with that being said, 4.25 stars for me. So with that being said, MF, let's move on to the first of our two championship matches.
Yes, it was. It was Imperium versus Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner. Imperium, Matthew Bartel and Fabian Eichner successfully defends the titles in 14 minutes and 53 seconds. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
What was that time again?
14:53.
14:53. 3.5 to 3.75 of a star. Von Wagner is new to NXT and needs time to grow, but every time he stepped into the ring during this match, the pace slowed and the crowd seemed to lose interest a little. His moveset and look are a little too generic to stand out from the crowd. The other three men in the match did a respectable job making this a competitive bout, but the outcome was almost too predictable. This would have been match of the week on a regular episode of NXT 2.0, but it fell a bit short of some of the other classics we have seen for the NXT tag titles at these special events. Don't take these criticisms to mean this was a bad match. It was a good showing for Von Wagner and made Imperium look like a dominant duo. Kyle O'Reilly is always solid, but that's not news to anyone who has followed his career, especially MF, who knows a little more about him than I do, mainly because of his ROH days and Team Red Dragon and all that. So, but still a very good match to say the very least. I would say, when it comes to the non-War Games matches, this was the best of them. So I'm going to be a little more generous. I'm actually going to bump it up 3.75 to 4 stars. This was a very, very good tag team title matchup. So other than that constructive criticism, it was a very fun match, to say the very least. So Wade Barrett on commentary referred to it as a technical masterclass, and I 100% agree with that. This coming from a guy who loves technical wrestling. So not much more to say here. 3.75 to 4 stars. MF, best non-War Games match of the night.
Yeah, best non-War Games match of the night. No doubt about it. I'll agree with that. I'll go with the 3 and 3 I'll give you that. This was an excellent battle. This was an excellent fight. It was enjoyable. It was an amazing matchup. At the end of the day, look, the right team won. I think you absolutely are correct about that. The right team won. The more deserving team won it. And now the question becomes, where do we go from here? I honestly believe they did an amazing job. I think they did a great storyline. I think at the end it was as good as you could have expected it to be. So for me, nothing more to add. The outcome was never in doubt, but it was definitely a great matchup to say the very least. So with that said, next up, guys, we had Cameron Grimes versus Duke Hudson, hair versus hair. Cameron Grimes wins the match. Yes! In 10 minutes and 24 seconds. Thank freaking God he does not lose his long hair. I would have been pissed if he would have lost this one. Even unfortunately, it has to go as worst fight of the night, or maybe I'll say worst fight of the night. But it was still a solid match. It's not a bad thing. It was definitely a solid match. This is easily 3.25 stars. It's just it was slow and plotty in certain areas. I will agree with that. This was more of a NXT 2.0 on USA type match. It didn't have the feel of a bigger event, but it was still good for what it was worth. At the end of the day, outcome was never in doubt. Well, the outcome was in doubt. I was a little afraid of Duke Hudson winning this. I think a lot of people would have been really angry if Cameron Grimes would have lost his hair, but I'm glad it was Duke. They could play off this a little bit. Grimes wins it. Florio, it's yours.
What was that time again?
10 minutes and 24 seconds.
10:24. All right. 3 to 3.25 stars for this. For a match with a strange build and goofy stipulation, this ended up being a pretty fun showcase for both Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson. It won't make any match of the year list, but it will hold up against the rest of the show. People have known how good Cameron Grimes is for quite some time, but this was Duke Hudson's first real chance to show us what he can do after a couple of false starts. He has the potential to grow into somebody interesting given enough time and effort. Seeing Cameron Grimes win was genuinely surprising because it felt like this night was all about putting over the new stars WWE introduced when NXT 2.0 launched. But hey, pleasant surprise for me. I mean, I guess that long hair and beard thing is a popular thing. I thought they were leaning towards a makeover on that one, but no, Duke Hudson ends up getting the embarrassment. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks come Tuesday night on 2.0. But for right now, 3 to 3.25 stars. So with that being said, MF, let's move on to our other championship matchup.
Yes, it was. It was for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship of the World. It was Roderick Strong versus Joe Gacy, the winner of the bout. 8 minutes and 27 seconds. And still the Cruiserweight Champion of the World, Roderick Strong. He successfully defends the title. If you hear a big sigh of relief coming from East Providence, Rhode Island, that's coming from Anthony Florio. The Cruiserweight Championship lives for another day as Roderick Strong, Anthony, successfully defends the title. Joe Gacy has been vanquished.
Yes, indeed. And I couldn't be any happier about that. 8:27. MF, I think with all due respect, this should be the worst fight of the night right here. 2.5 to 2.75 of a star. This match had moments of good action, but the overall pace and story it told kept it from being great. It was just kind of there. Both men are fantastic athletes and showed their skills here. it just didn't click. The crowd seemed halfway into it and halfway out. So there isn't really more to say on that. So this was, with all due respect, the worst fight of the night. This felt like a 2.0 match, really. But 2.5, 2 3/4. But then again, you can make an argument about Hudson and Grimes being an NXT 2.0 match as well. But that was slightly better than this. So worst fight of the night for me, 2.5, 2 3/4. MF, your thoughts?
Solid 2.5 for me. I really got nothing more to say on that. You're absolutely correct about everything that went there. But now we go into the main event of the evening, the second War Games match, as it was Team 2.0 versus Team Black and Gold. 2.0 wins it in 38-11. Braun Breaker wins it for Team 2.0. Oh my God, what a War Games. This was the better of it. 4.5 to 4 3/4. You couldn't make an argument for 5. There's no doubt about it. This was an amazing War Games match. The outcome was never in doubt. And there's really nothing more to add. I mean, everybody played their roles really well. I loved the interaction with DIY. We had that moment where, oh my God, just them together was solid. It was amazing. It was incredible. But unfortunately, I know a lot of people are not happy because a lot of people would love to have seen Black and Gold get it, but I get it. You want to make the future stars. Braun Breaker looks like a star tonight. Carmelo Hayes looks like a star tonight, and is worthy of being the North American champion. Tony D'Angelo, I mean, yeah, he had his moments in the match, and you could even say that Grayson Waller had a moment in the match, especially that elbow drop off the top of the cage right through a table was an oh my God moment. But at the end of the day, I think with everything that went down, solid main event, incredible main event. Like I said, but give it up for everybody in the War Games. They absolutely tore this down. Anthony Florio, I don't think there's really anything more to add here. This was a great War Games match, but at the end, the 2.0 rises over the Black and Gold.
Indeed. Fight of the night, 4.5 to 4 3/4 of a star. Seeing a DIY reunion on the night that could be Johnny Gargano's last with WWE was bittersweet in more than one way. While this match had a couple of issues, it still ended up being the fight of the night on this show. Not only did every single person have at least one moment, but it seemed to serve as Gargano's send-off. These matches have started to rely too much on weapons since becoming an NXT staple, but it's hard not to find some of the table spots entertaining, especially the Grayson Waller spot. So, yeah, the War Games matches, both War Games matches, these were the make or break of the show. They both delivered. So that's why this show will definitely get a passing review, to say the very least. So with that, 4.5, 4 3/4, I 100% agree with the rating. So with that, overall thoughts. This was a decent show, but when you compare it to the takeovers of the past, and most of those, it had a lot less excitement. But it was still a very good show. Both War Games matches were great. The tag team title match was great. The other two matches were, the cruiserweight match and the hair match. Those were both solid, but not overly spectacular. So with that, I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10 though for the effort. I mean, because the War Games matches were just too damn good, both of them, and especially that tag team title match, that definitely gave it that nudge to give it an 8. If the other two matches had been even better, then we would have been talking a higher rating. But I think 8 out of 10 is the correct rating for this. because of the War Games matches and the tag team title match. Those were the 3 highlights of the show. The other 2 matches, solid, but not overly spectacular. So with that, 8 out of 10. MF, your thoughts, and then we'll get into our main event.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was an incredible show. 8 to 8.5 for me as well. They delivered. War Games delivered. And this is a big win for NXT here tonight. I think that's the best way to say it. This was a huge win for them. And now we do go into the main event of the evening. We're going to bring Anthony Florio in to give us that typical NFL Saturday flavor for a game that will have major implications in the AFC East. Monday Night Football, the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills.
Yes,
Anthony, you know how to do it. Hit me with that thing I like.
Oh, and since I'll do that, you do the same for me when I get to you. But anyways, I say that because this is the Tony and Mikey special here. But we do need to address a couple of things, since we didn't get to do the show last night because MF had those late work commitments beyond his control, and you already know the story about Bullocks. So, all right. So this was week 13 of the NFL season. It started on Thursday night. The Dallas Cowboys defeating the New Orleans Saints by a score of 27-17. And then we moved on to the Sunday slate of games that went down this afternoon and evening throughout the day. We had 4 teams on bye this week. Those 4 teams were the Carolina Panthers, the Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers, and the Tennessee Titans. So with that being said, let's run down the scores from today's games. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeating the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 30-17. The Arizona Cardinals, they defeat the Chicago Bears 33-22. In our number 2 game of the week, the Los Angeles Chargers. Wow, what a statement win for them, knocking off the Cincinnati Bengals 41-22. And history was made. Lions win, Lions win, Lions win. On a walk-off touchdown as time expired, the Detroit Lions no longer loses. They're winners.
Wow. We go to the pay window.
Yeah, they go to the pay window, Dusty. You're right. 29-27, Detroit beats Minnesota in the upset of the day. No doubt about that. Indianapolis Colts, no trouble with the Houston Texans whatsoever. 31-0 beat down of them. And MF, I don't know what the hell is going on with you, man, because you sir, are on the roll of a lifetime right now. I mean, your teams over the last month, between your Braves winning the World Series, Michigan in the college football playoff, although I am with you with the New York Rangers, and Gerard Gallat's got us playing damn good right now, and I'm very encouraged. We could end up being contenders there, but we'll get into that another day. But and the Chicago Bulls, what a surprise they've been. They've been the biggest surprise in the NBA by a mile. I did not think they were ever going to be a good team again, but they've proven me wrong. And I say that because MF's Miami Dolphins, they're rolling. They have now won 5 in a row. The Dolphins beat the New York Giants 20-9. And then from there, it was the Philadelphia Eagles defeating the New York Giants 33-18. MF, your favorite quarterback.
You mean New York Jets? Because you said Giants, but just to clarify there.
I guess the excitement there.
That's okay.
Philadelphia Eagles over the New York Jets 33-18. And MF, your favorite quarterback. Gardner Minshew is back.
Minshew Mania! Let's go!
Channeling his inner Maverick from Top Gun, or maybe more Goose. I don't know.
It was more Goose.
Yeah, because of the mustache.
Because of the mustache and everything else.
Yep. But, man, what a performance. Philly beating the Jets 33-18. That rounded out the early window. In the late window, what a big win for the Washington football team. They defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 17-15. In the Zonk game of the day, the Los Angeles Rams, no trouble with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Buffalo, where was this when we played them? That's all I'm saying. 37-7 beat down the Rams over to Jacksonville. And both 425 games on the mothership, they both over-delivered. What else is new when it comes to the Ravens and the Steelers? What else is new? I mean, it always seems to come down to the end. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, after getting absolutely embarrassed by the Cincinnati Bengals last week, what a humongous win for them. They knock off the Baltimore Ravens 20-19. Baltimore went for a 2-point conversion. They tried to be heroes instead of playing for overtime. It did not work. Pittsburgh gets a gift win. So thank Baltimore for trying to be heroes, guys. Otherwise, it could have gone the other way if it had gone to OT. And then in the other game, the Seattle Seahawks over the San Francisco 49ers 30-23. And then Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs, easy win over the Denver Broncos 22-9. And before we get to the main event, set the table for next week. It's the final bye week. The Indianapolis Colts, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the Philadelphia Eagles will be the beneficiaries of the final bye week. It starts on Thursday night. The Pittsburgh Steelers will square off against the Minnesota Vikings in what just became an interesting Thursday night game. Other games to look forward to. There are a mix of sleepers and other things. The Atlanta Falcons against the Carolina Panthers. Wild card implications in that one. The San Francisco 49ers against the Cincinnati Bengals. Definitely one of our top games next week. It's going to be on our side. The Baltimore Ravens against the Cleveland Browns. The Las Vegas Raiders against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Dallas Cowboys against the Washington Football Team. Our game of the week next week. And maybe possibly a Super Bowl preview. You don't know. My Buffalo Bills against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very possible. The oldest rivalry in NFL history, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football next week. And then the NFC's game of the week next week on Monday Night Football, the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. NFC West implications aplenty in that one. So with all that being said, let's dive on into our main event of this very unique show here tonight. Tomorrow night. Now, we could have easily ignored this if it had been a zonk game, but with how big this game is, it's too big. We can't ignore this. The New England Patriots squaring off against my Buffalo Bills from Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Monday Night Football on ESPN with Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, and Lisa Salters. And when it comes to this game, a game of this magnitude, it's only fitting that we have the Manning brothers back from their mini sabbatical. So the Manning brothers will be on for this game as well. To all those Manning brother fans, which I know MF is, I know that'll make him very happy. Buffalo opening up as a 3-point favorite. And then from there, the series history, it is one-sided. It is all New England. New England leads the overall series 75-45 with one tie. The one tie was in 1962. They played to a 28-all tie in Buffalo. Last year, Buffalo swept the season series. It was the first time since 1999 that the Buffalo Bills had actually swept the season series from the New England Patriots. They won in Buffalo last year, 24-21. Cam Newton fumbled at the last second. It was the Bills' first win over the Patriots at home since 2011, 34-31. I remember that very vividly. That was week 3 of that year. I had that game. But anyways, New England's last win in Buffalo, obviously the year before, 2019. That was a 24-17 final. Stand corrected, 16-10 final. But anyways, it's only fitting that I started off. This is the Tony and Mikey special. And this is a vintage Tony and Mikey special. I'll explain in a minute. But you know how we do it. What to watch for. Bold prediction. Stat to know. What do we need to know for fantasy? The betting nugget. The FPI percentage. And our score predictions. So here we go for the game of the week. And the biggest Monday Night Football game up to this point. The next 2 are going to be huge. But anyways, What to watch for? While the absence of cornerback Tre'Davious White will be big for the Bills' defense, it's the recent trend of turning the ball over that is the key to watch when the Patriots and Bills square off. Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen has thrown 7 interceptions in his last 4 games and lost a fumble. Thus far, Buffalo's defense has been able to bail the team out, but New England will be a tougher task, especially considering the defense has forced a league-high 20 turnovers since Week 5. Allen maintaining his composure will be crucial, and he could be assisted by 2 starting offensive linemen potentially returning to the starting lineup. Bold prediction, Patriots kicker Nick Folk leads the NFL with 31 field goals on 34 attempts and has made 50 straight attempts for within 50 yards, stretching back to last season. But that streak, which is the second longest in NFL history, behind Ryan Succop's 56, will be snapped in Western New York, where the weather conditions are often unpredictable with wind and snow. In turn, Bill's second-year kicker, Tyler Bass, who is 20 of 23 on the season, will also be tested. Stat to know, the tight ends, Hunter Henry of New England and Dawson Knox of Buffalo, each have 7 receiving touchdowns this season, tied for the league among tight ends. For fantasy, did Josh Allen crack the Patriots puzzle in Week 16 last year? In that game, he completed 75% of his passes for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. In his 4 prior career games against New England, he only completed 50.4% of his passes and averaged 183 yards with a total of 3 passing scores and 6 interceptions. Betting nugget, Buffalo has covered each of its last 5 games in the month of December or later, and it is 4-0-1 against the spread in its last 5 games against AFC East opponents. The FPI likes the Buffalo Bills in this game, 64.4%, 64% going with the Buffalo Bills. Of course, I'm going to go with my Buffalo Bills to win this game. It's not going to be easy, and it's certainly not going to be easy, but I believe my Buffalo Bills can right the ship here, and I believe they will knock off the New England Patriots. My final score, 20-16. My Buffalo Bills defeat the New England Patriots, take back first place in the AFC East. But if New England were to win, I would not at all be surprised. I really would not. But I just got this feeling about Buffalo. Heck, Derek Ferreira in his video yesterday, he's even going with Buffalo to win this game. And I was very floored to hear that, considering how much of a Patriot homer he is, just as much as Bullock. But anyways, if Bullock were here, Bullock would go with New England. So MF will have to be the impartial vote here. So with that being said, I have 20-16. I got Buffalo winning this game, taking back first in the AFC East temporarily. So, and then I'll set up the big showdown with Brady and the Bucks next week. Potential Super Bowl preview, which will be our game of the week. Spoiler alert for next week. So with that being said, I bring in good old MF Michael Fletcher here. I mean, I said this was a nostalgia game for us because, when we first started doing this many moons ago, all the games that we did exclusively to the AFC East. I mean, yeah. we would pick the biggest game within the AFC East based on the records and attractiveness and all that. We did that up until 2005, and then after that year, when starting in 2006, we decided to branch out, and it ended up working out so much better for us, and we ended up getting much bigger games since then, and that's how it's going to be going forward and forever and ever, amen. But MF, I mean, it is so great to be going back to our roots here. I mean, this is an old school game. I mean, we did a lot of these back in the day, not so much since then, but a couple here and there. But there is no question about it. This is the biggest Patriots-Bills game in a very, very long time. First in the AFC East to the winner. There's nothing left for me to say except, as to Phil Sims to my Jim Nance, do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is going to be a great matchup. This is one of the highly coveted matches of the week. And now it's taking a life of its own. And the thing is that where these two teams have gone. Buffalo was running it out, dominating the AFC East, and a lot of people thought, they're running away with this. They're going to win the division and the whole 9 yards. All of a sudden, the New England Patriots have been creeping up, finally took it over because of Mac Jones and that defense. It looks like New England has found their stride, where Buffalo has been a little inconsistent. They've been up and down. Certain games, they look great. Then they take a dip. Then they look great again. Then they take a dip. So you don't know. With New England, they've been red hot lately, and no team has really stopped them. But here's the problem with New England. Have they really been tested? Yes, with Tennessee, when they demolished them, there was no Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry was out. Then with the Cincinnati Bengals, or I should say with the Cleveland Browns, the Browns is a shell of themselves. So they haven't played a really good team until now. Buffalo is without a doubt a big threat. They play really good. But what type of Bills team are you going to get? Are you going to get a great team that's going to dominate? Or is this going to go up and down where it could go all over the place again? You don't know. But I will say this. At the end of the day, I do believe Buffalo will figure it out. I think they will find a way to get the win, and it has to be Josh Allen. Josh Allen is going to have the game of his career. They're going to have to establish the running game early, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. New England's defense is really good against the run. That means Allen is going to have to carve up that defense, which means Stephon Diggs is going to have an amazing game tonight. The tight end is going to have a great game. And then on the defensive side, how do you stop Mac Jones? Running game, I think you might be able to do. With Harrison Stevenson, you might be able to shut them down. But when it comes to Mac Jones, you got to find the pressure. He does really well when he's in the pocket, when he doesn't have to move out or anything else. Pocket passer. Once you start to rattle that cage a little bit, that O-line starts to break down on him, like you saw against the game against Miami, when that pocket collapses, not so good. So that's why I do believe Buffalo will win this game. Buffalo wins on Monday night. That's it, guys. We're done. So tomorrow night is another edition of Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio. I believe it's just Raw only, Florio. Nothing else after that.
Well, Impact Wrestling came back to their first run content after that Wrestle House silliness from Thanksgiving. So,
okay.
And I'm pretty sure there was a 205 Live. I'm pretty sure. But who knows? Maybe if it calls for it, maybe we may have bonus commentary for that Patriots-Bills game. You never know.
We'll see. All right, guys. So with that said, we'll have a good night, folks. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Eastern, immediately following Monday Night Raw. For Anthony Florio, I'm Michael Fletcher. So long, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.